The sorceress had declared this place to be a magical powerhouse. Even the strongest wands had been destroyed during the summoning, yet the ritual had been completed successfully. Suddenly, a loud, fierce snoring filled the house, until something snapped the man out of his sleep. He blinked, confused, as he noticed his doors were wide open. Looking around, he was shocked to see a strange forest surrounding him. It hit him like a wave. He had somehow left his house, but how? He looked around in disbelief, trying to make sense of it all. His eyes scanned the sky, and to his surprise, dragons soared overhead. Wait, when did dragons start flying around? The realization struck. He had woken up in a completely different world. Camus opened his eyes. His mind raced back to the previous day. After a dull shift at work, his colleagues had invited him out, but he'd found it boring as usual. Returning home, he'd collapsed into bed, exhausted. But now his head was pounding, and all he wanted was a little more sleep. After a couple of hours, he was drowsily descending to sleep. Then voices drifted toward him. He could hear them discussing the immense magical energy nearby. The voices warned each other to stay clear of the area, cautioning that such powerful magic could be dangerous. He wondered, who the hell is out there, making so much noise around my house? The voices grew louder, their awe of the magic becoming more pronounced. Frustrated and dizzy from his headache, the man finally decided to find out who the uninvited guests were. As he stepped outside, he was taken aback. A group of girls stood before him. They were dressed in the most bizarre outfits he had ever seen. Is this some kind of prank? He thought, rubbing his temples. The leader of the group clutched her wand, which was beeping incessantly as it searched for magical artifacts. "We need to get to the target faster," she urged. Her friends shouted for the princess to be careful, but it was too late. She had already broken away from the group. The man, still groggy and desperate for sleep, had had enough of these uninvited guests. He shouted with all his might, demanding they shut up immediately. After all, normal people were still asleep at this early hour. Unexpectedly, his voice was so powerful that it sent the girls flying backward, as if swept away by a gust of wind. He blinked, stunned, wondering how he had managed that. Could it all just be a bad dream? Then the memory came so quickly that while he wasn't sure if he was visiting or waking, he turned his head. The girls, shaken and stunned, muttered that this guy was a real monster. No one had ever thrown them off so easily with just a shout. They hurriedly called for the princess to leave, but the princess was frozen in fear, trembling, and, to her horror, she realized she had wet herself from the shock of it all. Embarrassed, the princess stumbled over her words, apologizing profusely. "This is all wrong. We never meant to disturb you," she explained. The man noticed her embarrassment and, looking down at the puddle at her feet, quickly understood the cause. With a grunt, he admitted, "I just wanted to scare you off. I didn't expect this." Still irritated, he demanded, "Now, tell me, where the hell are we? I've had it with all this." Before a few days had even gone by, he was ready to leave. Alex stood, everything inside him clay-like. The girl, still shaking, responded, "You're in the center of the most magical point in the world." The man's brow furrowed. "How is that even possible? What kind of magic is this?" The princess nodded, confirming the truth of her words. "That's why you were able to throw us all away with just your voice. The power in this place is immense." The man couldn't believe it. This felt like nonsense. But the princess didn't stop there. "I can't stay here any longer. It's time to leave." To his shock, she activated an emergency teleportation, and in an instant, all the girls vanished, leaving him standing alone. Looking around at the unfamiliar surroundings, he realized that since he had thrown them away with just his shout, and everything around him felt completely alien, he must be in a different world. Then a mysterious voice called him, "Master." It's confused. The man wondered who else could have entered his house. Confused, the man wondered who else could have entered his house. It seemed almost impossible. A part of him thought that maybe, just maybe, being in this new world could be a wonderful opportunity. But first, he needed to adapt. Understand this world and its rules. And above all, he'd need to learn new skills to survive. Determined, he checked his belongings. To his relief, everything was where it should be: food, clothes, and most importantly, his beloved bed, the one he hadn't left for the past 10 years. As he sank into the comfort of his bed, his thoughts drifted. The house has been in my family for 60 years. It's always given me a sense of security and peace. After a brief nap, the man was abruptly awakened by the screams of little girls. He thought only a few moments had passed, but once again chaos was unfolding. The princess was screaming in disbelief. "I can't believe we've been teleported straight into a dragon's nest." She quickly ordered her team to use the remaining magic to lead the beast away from the city. Her assistants shouted back, urging the princess to run while they distracted the massive dragon, but the princess was firm. There was no escape. "We can't run. The house of that strange man is ahead, and the dragon is behind us. As a member of the royal family, I can't abandon my people. I must lead them into battle, not flee like a coward. Believe me, I won't." The sorceresses screamed that the dragon's fire was too powerful, and their barrier wouldn't hold for long. The man, still exhausted and desperately hoping to sleep, couldn't ignore the noise. His headache intensified. The sorceresses begged the princess to flee and save herself, but she refused to abandon them. Unable to endure the racket any longer, the man shouted at the top of his lungs, demanding that everyone shut up so he could finally get some rest. The girls barely had time to gasp in surprise before they, along with the dragon, were blasted away by an incredible force. Groaning and disoriented after hitting the ground, the girls lay there stunned. The man blinked, thinking, maybe I shouted too loudly and created a small tornado. He asked the girls, "Are you okay?" The sorceresses only groaned in response, still trembling and leaving puddles beneath them. They were in awe of his strength, struggling to steady themselves. "Annoyed," the man grumbled. "You're ruining my lawn. Did my voice make you all wet yourselves?" The princess, still shaken, answered, "Since you've defeated the dragon, you can choose what to do with us. Just, please, leave my people alive. If needed, I'm ready to give up anything." The man, still irritated, replied, "I don't understand what you're saying. I don't need anyone's life. Just take the dragon away from my territory. It doesn't belong here." The princess raised an eyebrow. "Your request is strange. Do you realize that just one dragon scale is worth a fortune? Its heart is even more valuable than any precious stone due to its magical properties." The princess asked why the man was giving them such a valuable trophy. He shrugged, saying he didn't need the dragon carcass and that they could do whatever they wanted with it. The only thing he asked was that they stay away from his house and let him finally get some peaceful sleep. He explained that he had a terrible headache and their noise was only making it worse. The princess, understanding, agreed to his terms. She told her companions that the only magic they had left was to make the dragon soar as a parting gesture. Behind them, the princess shouted, "I'm Danya Prussia. I promise I'll repay this debt when we meet again." With that, she and her companions vanished, leaving the man in peace. He sighed with relief, glad to finally be alone. "Now I can get some real sleep," he thought. However, after some time, he was stirred from his nap by a woman's voice calling him to dinner. "Who are you?" he groggily asked, still disoriented. The girl, calling him master, explained that lunch was ready. Confused, the man asked, "How did you get into my house?" "I remember closing all the doors." "Who are you, and why are you here?" The girl smiled and introduced herself. "My name is Sakura. I'm a spirit, bound to this house, and after decades, I finally met my master. The family that lived here took care of me for many years." The man raised an eyebrow. "Sakura, that's an interesting name. Isn't it the name of a cherry blossom tree?" Train said with a trace of pity. Sakura nodded, explaining, "Yes, it is. The supports of this house were made from cherry wood, which is rare to use in construction. That's why my name is tied to it. Your grandfather often spoke about this house and the cherry wood." The man chuckled. "I never thought such a lovely girl was living here." Sakura smiled, then reminded him, "Dinner has been ready for a while now. You must be starving after everything that's happened." She revealed that she had prepared the meal with whatever she could find in the refrigerator. The man's stomach growled at the thought of a home-cooked meal, but he was puzzled. If it's from the refrigerator, why is it warm? Sakura casually explained, I used magic to generate electricity and warm it up. Sakura explained that she had also discovered an underground water source beneath the house and had set up a water supply system. The man was stunned by the power of her magic, but Sakura urged him to hurry up and eat before his food got cold. Grateful for the delicious meal, the man asked why he was transported to this strange new world. Sakura replied that the house itself was a magical place. Having lived there for so long, he had been saturated with its powerful energy. The man recalled what the princess had mentioned about this, but Sakura added, everyone knows the power hidden in this place. It's scientifically known as the dragon's artery, a convergence of immense magical energy. Sakura continued, explaining that the man had been living in the dragon's artery since childhood, making him filled to the brim with magic. The man then understood why his shout had produced such powerful gusts of wind. Sakura encouraged him, saying that with just a little training he could harness much more power. The man suggested they practice outside to avoid causing any damage or hurting Sakura. He said he needed to change clothes first, then he'd be ready. His thoughts drifted to the mess left in the yard after the sorceress's visit, and he realized it might be useful to learn how to create food and repair the damage. He paused, looking at Sakura puzzled. Sakura reassured him that she knew how they could get food. With a wave of her hand, she conjured an apple and explained, you can plant seeds and grow apple trees, but I know that trees take time to grow. The man reminded her, it would take forever for the trees to mature. Sakura explained that with the help of magic, the process could be sped up and the harvest would be abundant. Since this would be his first time using magic, she volunteered to act as a magical intermediary, being in tune with his energy. All he had to do was touch her and focus on the idea of the trees growing. The man, a bit confused by the request, hesitated. This is a strange method. Does it mean I have to touch? Sakura clarified, you need to touch my head, not anywhere else. Sakura, the man, slightly disappointed, reluctantly agreed. The guy noticed a change in Sakura's expression, and she explained that he just needed to imagine the image of an apple tree growing in his mind, and she could harness the power. The man decided to start small and focus on germinating the seed. Sakura felt a surge of energy as she connected with his power, impressed by the strength he had. Suddenly, the seed began to sprout, and the guy exclaimed, it's already growing. He marveled at how easy it was and thought, why not skip ahead and create the whole tree? At that moment, Sakura felt an overwhelming heat surging through her body. This is more than I expected, she said, struggling to hold back the flow of magic. The guy didn't realize the extent of the power he was channeling through her. She was beginning to feel like she could no longer contain it. The guy, still in awe, remarked, this is incredible, the tree grew so quickly. He turned to Sakura, asking if she was okay. Sakura, a bit shaken but impressed, said, I didn't expect such a flow of energy, but you've done it. Now you can enjoy the fruits of your labor. She handed him the apple, and the guy tasted it, pleased. This is amazing, we grew this together. Let's meet again, I said. Sakura smiled, suggesting, how about we create an entire orchard around your house? I can help with that. Just then, a noise from above broke their moment. Sakura was suddenly grabbed by a large paw. The princess, Danya, had arrived, holding a heavy bag. We sold the dragon at a good price, she said. Over 3,000 silver coins. We need to deliver this to the man who killed it. Danya sighed. I wish my energy had been restored so I could make this bag float. It's too heavy. As she spoke, her gaze shifted upward, where shimmering dragon scales glinted in the sky, glowing with all the colors of the rainbow. Danya recognized the silhouette of a great dragon, one that was impervious to magic and far superior to ordinary dragons. She concluded that such a rare creature must have been drawn to this place, a concentrated source of magical power. The guy, realizing the dragon could destroy his house, quickly decided to act. If a dragon destroyed my house, it would mean I'm a mediocre homeowner. I need to save Sakura, he thought. He quickly decided to use magic, but had to be cautious not to hurt Sakura in the process. Imagining an apple tree attacking the dragon, the guy was surprised when the magic actually worked. He was thrilled to see that he could control his power. Meanwhile, the fragile body of Sakura plummeted toward the ground, and the guy rushed to catch her. "I'm sorry for grabbing your chest. This was an accident," he quickly apologized, his face flushed. Sakura thanked him for saving her and noticed that the dragon was preparing to attack. "This dragon is persistent," the guy muttered. "Looks like it's not giving up." Sakura suggested that the dragon was likely trying to create a nest in the area due to its immense power. Suddenly, the guy felt a sharp spasm in his stomach. He realized he was incredibly hungry. Sakura explained that this was a natural side effect of using so much energy and reassured him it was normal. He moved his arms higher to increase his momentum. He let out a sound of effort which seemed inadequate. She also mentioned the delicious taste of dragon meat, which caught the guy's attention, though he quickly waved it off. "Please don't talk about it, I'm just starving," he exclaimed, his mind focused on his hunger. The guy wondered if this dragon could be poisonous. Its scales had an unusual color, and while it could provide plenty of food, he couldn't shake the feeling that the beast had started the conflict by attacking first. He decided it was time to deal with it. Now that Sakura was safe, he felt he could unleash his full power. "No holding back," he thought, as he prepared to shout at the dragon. "I want fresh dragon meat," he yelled. The force of his scream nearly hit the dragon, but it dodged. Or perhaps it was just too far away. Sakura quickly noted, "The dragon's flying away." "No way," the guy said, his frustration mounting. "I can't let it attack anyone else." Sakura suggested they concentrate and focus their combined powers to direct their attack more precisely. The guy, determined, agreed. "All right, I'll try again." With a forceful scream, he called the dragon to land. The explosion of sound rippled across the area, creating a shockwave that echoed far and wide. Meanwhile, Princess Danya, who had been nearby, was caught off guard by the deafening noise. She fell to the side, outraged by the constant disturbances whenever she came to this place. The guy, thrilled, exclaimed, "It worked! My power really becomes stronger when I focus it." He turned to Sakura, asking, "What do we do with the dragon now?" Sakura, ever calm, replied, "I'll take care of it. I have experience cutting dragons, and with magic, it's a piece of cake." Later, Sakura announced that the rainbow dragon steak was ready for tasting. The guy eagerly took a bite and exclaimed, "This meat is incredible. It melts in your mouth. I could eat this all day." Sakura, smiling proudly, boasted, "I made a magical refrigerator to store it, and it's conveniently placed next to the apple trees." The guy, impressed, asked, "Is there anything you can't do?" Sakura hesitated for a moment before replying, "Unfortunately, no, but thank you, master, for saving me." The guy chuckled. "It's nice being self-sufficient in this new world." Meanwhile, Princess Danya, having recovered from the shockwave, realized that once again, it was the guy's magic at play. She muttered under her breath, "Maybe I should have come a little later. Now I need a change of clothes again."